What's the purpose of the arts? What are they really about? Are they merely meant to be enjoyed, or are they something that's just like a hobby, a nice hobby, or are they just a luxury, or are they a tool of political will or a political movement, or just a means of making a buck? Or are they just like a skill to be learned, or is it just something that's like good for your brain? To me, none of these are the real purpose of the arts. And yet this is what most people talk about, or a lot of people talk about in our culture. These are the sort of common justifications for doing art. And I believe that we focus on these other things that aren't really the purpose of the arts because we've lost our way. We don't know what the true purpose of the arts is in our society. We've lost connection with that purpose. And I'd like to share with you today my approach, my Soulforce Arts Approach, and the 7 elements of that can help you as an artist, as a musician, dancer, actor, whatever you do, help you reconnect with that true purpose. And this has so many benefits. First, it's going to make your art better. It's going to help you feel better. You're going to feel more inspired. You're going to feel really connected to something bigger than yourself. Whether that's a value like beauty or truth or goodness or connection, community, or even something like bigger, like one of the larger forces of the universe, the nature or God or source, whatever you want to call it. Imagine making art from that place, how powerful that would be. And you can do it. And that's what my Soulforce Arts approach is all about. It's about reconnecting with that purpose and learning how to make art from that place. So today I'm going to share with you some ideas about what I believe the true purpose of the arts is. I'm going to share a really great quote from an Egyptologist about ancient Egypt art. I love this quote so much. I think you're going to get a lot out of it too. And then I'm going to share the 7 elements, the 7 essential pieces of my Soulforce Arts approach. And so before I get into that, my name is Joseph Arnold. I'm a violinist and Alexander technique teacher and director of the Soulforce Arts Academy, Soulforce Arts Institute, where you can learn to become a transcendent artist, an artist who serves transcendence and healing. Okay, so about the purpose of the arts, I have a quote here from author and independent Egyptologist John Anthony West. I wish I could have met this guy. He's such an amazing thinker. He's written several amazing books and has lots of podcasts and that kind of thing. This quote is from one of his books, Serpent in the Sky, and I'll write that down in the description below. And he talks a lot about ancient Egypt in this book, and especially about their art. And this to me is just so fascinating. So he says, art is a means of playing upon human faculties in such a way as to provoke a consciousness of superhuman realities, of the realm beyond the senses. In every great ancient civilization, art has been used to further understanding, to lead men and women to a higher experience of reality than they might be able to achieve individually left to their own devices. Art is not meant to be enjoyed, it is meant to illuminate. And that's the piece that really gets me. So there are 2 pieces in here. That art is a means of playing upon human faculties in such a way to provoke consciousness of superhuman realities, something bigger than yourself, whatever that is for you. And art is not meant to be enjoyed, it is meant to illuminate. And this just strikes so deeply home for me. And I think there's a part of me that has really longed for art that really means something, a life that really means something. And art, so much of the art in our society, to me, doesn't really mean a whole lot. It's nice or not, and I'm glad that people find a way of self-expressing themselves. But from this perspective, art is not about self-expression. Art is about illumination, bringing your audience into a consciousness of these superhuman realities. It's a shift in consciousness towards connecting with something bigger than yourself. That's the point. So, how do you do this? First, you need to remember what the point of art is. And this is what I just shared. The point of art is to provoke a sense of connection with something bigger than yourself. Right? And you begin by, of course, realizing that and doing it in yourself, in the act, in the creative act. That's the ticket. That's the secret right there. You got to find that kind of consciousness in yourself. Transcendent art comes from a transcendent place inside you. Illumination, art that provokes illumination, comes from your own illumination. And so the Soulforce Arts Approach is about that illumination. It's about how an approach to the arts that provokes that illumination in you, the artist, so that it can then come out in your art. So now I'm going to share some from my upcoming book on this topic, Soulforce Arts book. Here, just a moment. Here we go. So I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs here, and then share each of these 7 elements. So, the broad strokes. What are the broad strokes? How do you approach the arts, your artistic life, music, or whatever it is that you do, in a way that has this connection to transcendence? And there are 7 elements to this. Okay, so I'll read from my upcoming book. There are 7 unique elements to the Soulforce Arts Approach, each of which works in harmony with the others to suffuse your creative life with the transformative power of Soulforce, which is the illumination. Combined, the 7 elements of the Soulforce Arts Approach constitute what artistry looks like when done from a higher perspective. They also include the specific practices, values, and processes that can lead you into this higher perspective. The 7 elements are designed to address the many challenges caused by the story of separation, which is kind of a worldview that says that everything is separate. That the universe is basically a meaningless place full of rocks and flaming balls of gases. So it's designed to address the story of separation in your life as an artist. The 7 elements do this by first taking into account the fact that your art is connected to every aspect of your life. And so they are concerned not just with what happens in the art studio or up on stage, but in your health and livelihood as well. In addition, the 7 elements help you reconnect with soul, so that place of wisdom and truth and beauty inside you, so that you can heal the damage done by the story of separation in all the ways that it's shown up in your life. All of the 7 elements work in synergy with the others. Each one affects all the others, so that when one is particularly strong or weak, all the others are strengthened or weakened. And while the 7 elements are best developed, more or less synchronously, your early engagement with the Soulforce Arts Approach will be best supported by generally following the sequence outlined below. And here are the 7, and I'll give a little description of each one. So first, effortlessness and embodiment. The gateway to your aliveness is the release of excess muscular tension in your body during the creative act. This is also the key for relieving common injuries, aches, and pains. And in my book, I give lots of examples of how to find effortlessness, how to become more embodied via the Alexander technique, which I teach. Okay, that was number 1, effortlessness embodiment. 2 is soulfulness. Soulfulness is the degree of connection with your aliveness that you bring to your creative endeavors. It is the antidote to the hollowness, objectification, and mechanization created by the story of separation. And one of the chapters in my book is about this specifically, which is called Playing from the Heart. And you can see that I've made other videos on playing from the heart. And that's all about element number 2, soulfulness. Element number 3 of Soulforce Arts is healing the self. If your art and your influence on the world around you are both reflections of your quality of life, then healing yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually must be of central importance to your life as an artist. Oopsie. That was my mindfulness bell. Are you mindful right now? All right. So your art is connected to your whole life. If you're carrying trauma or if you're injured or something like that, then that's going to show up in your art, right? It's going to show up in your artistic life. So that's why essential element of Soulforce Arts number 3 is healing the self. Number 4, holistic values development. Holistic values development. So many personal, artistic, and collective problems simply come from having too narrow a perspective. But by expanding your consciousness to include a wider array of perspectives and phenomena, you can discover new ways of addressing what have seemed like intractable problems. And this book and my Soulforce Arts Approach are written from a very holistic place, very inclusive place. And that's actually one of the most important parts of what you can do as an artist to help bring the whole world along into a more holistic perspective. Is to do that work for yourself, is to bring yourself along into that, to develop your own sense of awareness and consciousness and morality and your worldview into something more mature and inclusive. Yeah, that's really important, and that'll come through in your art. So that's holistic values development. We got 3 more. Okay, element number 5, Soulforce Mastery. Soulforce Mastery. Traditional approaches to mastery, which focus on solely technical achievements, fail to capture the aliveness and transcendence gained by also including effortlessness and authentic soulfulness. Soulforce Mastery states that all 3, technique, or competence in general, effortlessness, and soulfulness, or the knowledge of the soul, are necessary to the expression of soul force in the creative act. All right. Element of Soulforce Arts number 6 is aligned livelihood. Aligned livelihood. For those of you who earn money from your art, and of course not everybody does, even professional artists, coming to terms with the seeming dichotomy between your income and your integrity is a vital part of both moving beyond being a starving artist and the kind of transformation your art will have. So how you think about money, how you think about being an entrepreneur, because that's what a lot of artists are, how you think about business and marketing, all that matters. And you can have a more conscious, peaceful, open, clear, joyful relationship with money. That's an important part of the puzzle here. So that's aligned livelihood. All right, and finally, it's about healing the world. That's the 7th element, healing the world. Finally, the Soulforce Arts Approach offers a tangible pathway to healing many of humanity's myriad crises by pointing out their shared root cause, the story of separation, and applying its antidote, the story of interbeing, which I'll make other videos on, which is basically a worldview of interconnectedness, to everything in your artistic life. So many of the problems in the arts, so many of the problems in your own artistic life and in the arts world in general, in our society, planetary problems, these all come from viewing ourselves or different aspects of ourselves or society or the world as being separate from one another. And the more you see that, the more you'll see that it's true. And the separation happens in lots of different ways, kind of a sense of distance, or like, that doesn't really affect me, that's over there. It really comes down to seeing the world as a thing rather than a being. And so the antidote to that is seeing the world, yourself, your art, your body, as beings. And that will improve your relationship with yourself, your art, and when you make art from that place, that quality of beingness or interbeingness, interconnectedness, will come through in your art. And that can be such an important part of why you do what you do, and the kind of healing that your art can bring. So yeah, that's a very, very important element, kind of one of the fundamental, that's the fundamental worldview that Soulforce Arts comes from, that interconnectedness. Okay, so I hope you found this useful. It really is possible to reconnect with the true purpose of the arts, to make your art from a place of connection with something bigger, and that will bring your audiences into connection with that. And wouldn't that feel good? Wouldn't you know that you're doing the right thing at the right time? Wouldn't it feel good knowing this deeper reason for doing what you're doing? And might that not really affect the quality of what you end up creating? Yeah. So that's what the Soulforce Arts Approach is all about. And there are these 7 elements that I shared. These are kind of the specific avenues for how you get there, and they're all connected. They all support each other. And the pathway to becoming a Soulforce artist, an artist who helps themselves and others connect to something bigger, feel a sense of awe and healing and that kind of thing. That's best supported by including all of these 7 elements in what you do. Practicing is not just what you do in the practice room or in the art studio or up on stage. Those are important moments, but it's really connected to your whole life, your whole body, the relationships that you have, what you think it's all about. So this is why it's important to think about these things. Okay, so good. If you're interested in these kinds of things, please do hit that like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you want to be on my newsletter, I send out a monthly newsletter with videos and blog posts and excerpts, and I'll share news about my upcoming book, which will hopefully be out this summer. I don't know. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think. What are you curious about? What do you want to learn? I can make a video about that. I'll share my thoughts with you. So, okay, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.